Hi, Leslie.
Hello.
So just wait a few minutes before we start.
Oh, I see some names that I know. I feel like
No.
I'm aging myself, but I feel like this is like a romper room moment where I'm like, "Hi, Connor. I know Connor." I see people's names in the who jumped on board. So welcome everyone.
Welcome. So I think we can start because Leslie has a lot to teach today. So I want to give her as much time as she needs. So I'll just introduce myself. My name is Oriane. I work into product management and I'm also the head of webinars for Women in Tech Canada. And we have Leslie here, who's a beautiful soul. I can say we had time to talk. And she gave me already some good advice, so I'm really excited for today's session. Leslie works with executive and professional to help them better communicate their value on LinkedIn using personal branding and also AI. So I'll let her introduce herself a bit more later, just after I speak a bit more about Women in Tech Canada. So Women in Tech Canada, as some of you guys may know, is a global movement with a mission to empower 5 million women and girls in STEM by 2030 through education, business, digital inclusions, and way more. Founded in 2018, we now operate in more than 65 countries. And to be part of this global community, you can join us via the Women in Tech platform hub. We call it Women in Tech Hub, where you will find everything you need from key information to upcoming events. And one of those upcoming events is happening very soon. So on September 9, Montreal will host the Women in Tech North America Awards, bringing together women and allies from Canada and the United States to celebrate impact and leadership in tech. And nomination for award categories will open soon. So it will give you all of you guys a chance to submit candidates and be part of this moment. I also want to say that at the end of this session, we'll have a Q&A where Leslie will be able to answer all of your questions about personal branding and LinkedIn. So don't hesitate to just send us all of your questions during the chat. So during the webinar. So at the end, she'll be able to answer all of them. So it's your time now, and Leslie, we're all excited to hear what you have to say.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me today. We're just going to change over our screens here and we're working with technology here to make sure that this works. So I'm going to do click here, click there, see if technology decides to work with us today. So just confirm with me that we are on the right screen. Oh my goodness here. Okay. I think we're going to be at the right screen. Okay. That may not be working. Is that working the way that we wanted it to?
Yeah, I don't think it's your right screen.
It's not the right screen. And we were there. We were there 5 minutes ago, friends. So thank you for being patient with us as we are navigating this. Okay, it's hopefully this screen. How are we doing now? I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yay! Yay. Okay. So thank you guys for your patience as we are working out these technical issues. I'm a marketer, I'm not a technologist. So welcome everyone to this LinkedIn training. We're going to cover a lot of great material about building your professional brand, connecting strategically, and showcasing your impact. So my name is Leslie Hughes. I have been in digital marketing probably longer than I would like to admit. I'm the principal of my own company called Punch Media. So my focus has been LinkedIn training and profile writing for probably 15 years now. But I have actually been in the digital marketing world since 1997. So that puts me in a pre-Google world when the internet was just starting to come to its fruition. My little spidey senses were like, there's something about this internet thing that I'm really excited about. And then I pivoted my career into focusing specifically on social media in about 2009. So I am the author of a book called Create, Connect, Convert. And I am proud to say that I am a LinkedIn top voice, that I was given that honor in 2025. And that's for the 1.2 billion members on LinkedIn. Only about 1,500 have been given this nod from LinkedIn. So I'm quite proud about that. I have also appeared on national television in Canada, including CBC Radio and CTV's The Social, sort of talking about how to manage your digital identity. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Today, we are going to talk about the key ways to make a strong first impression on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about how to strategically build a high quality network. And that's important to me, a high quality network. So it's not just connecting with everyone, it's connecting with the right people at the right time with the right message. So we want to build that high quality network. We're going to talk about how to do that. And then lastly, we are going to talk about how to build your presence as a subject matter expert so that you can obtain more opportunities. So I know LinkedIn isn't sexy, right? LinkedIn isn't the one that we get online and get all excited to go, oh, I can't wait to be on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only nerd that really enjoys being on LinkedIn. But with the 1.2 billion members in over 200 countries, LinkedIn is more than just a job prospecting site. LinkedIn is where you go to network. It's where you go to build opportunities. And it's where you go to really create thought leader for yourself. So I want you to be thinking about yourself as a brand as we go through the steps today. So 4 out of 5 decision makers are investing time on LinkedIn. And I think that's important because we don't go onto LinkedIn to waste time and to doom scroll. We go onto LinkedIn for a specific purpose. There's a psychological reason why we're going there. It's for professional reasons. So you probably already know that, but be thinking about that in the context of how you show up. How do you want people to know about who you are, what you do, and how you help? You want to be thinking about whom it is that you're looking to wow and impress. We always want to be thinking about that when we're building connections, when we're sharing content, and most importantly, how you're showing up on your profile. That's why LinkedIn is really essential. So we're going to break this down into 3 silos. I'm going very quickly because we have a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that I wrap up so that you have enough time to ask questions. So be sure to go ahead and type in the chat if you have questions along the way. We will get to you, I promise. So the step 1 is to create that strong first impression. LinkedIn is kind of your resume meets your bio meets your elevator pitch. And we're going to get to that. And I'm going to give you some tips about that. Step 2 is making those quality connections, as I mentioned. And then step 3 is the thought leadership piece. So hang on your hats, kids. We've got a lot of things to cover. The first impression. I love this quote from Jeff Bezos that says that your personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. And why that's important is because you want to write for the reader. You want people to be wowed and impressed by you. And we're going to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome because most of us will be nervous about showcasing our accomplishments on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk to you about how to get over that imposter syndrome and why you need to highlight why you're a rock star. And you want to be doing this because you want to wow and impress the people who are landing on your profile, right? You don't want to be hiding behind, again, is it a female thing? Is it a Canadian thing? No, it's an everybody thing. The executives that I write LinkedIn profiles for throughout the world have all told me they don't feel comfortable writing about their brags on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about how to reframe those, but be thinking about that audience as we go through this. So typically this is where the interactive part comes of the presentation here, but I'm going to have you guys maybe silently think about which one of these profiles would you connect with and why, right? So taking a look at person A and person B, it's pretty obvious which one you would be more likely to connect with, which one you would be more likely to trust, which one just connects better emotionally, that, you know, the feelings, because really when we connect with other people on LinkedIn, we're connecting human to human, and we sometimes forget that. So this is pretty obvious. Person A doesn't have a profile photo, doesn't have really a headline. There's nothing there. Whereas you can see with Hazel, she's got a beautiful cover image in the background that really exemplifies her brand of who she is, and her organizational brand is there in that cover image area. One of the most important things that is often overlooked is your headshot. Your photo is arguably one of the most important parts of your profile. And so you want to have one that is professional, like Hazel's, looking into the camera, smiling, dressed appropriately. Then we get into, and we're going to get into these slide by slide. You'll have you'll have access to this presentation afterwards. If you need the presentation, please feel free to reach out to me. The next after Hazel's name is her headline. And I'm gonna give you some examples of what you can put into your headline as well. So this top card area at the very top of your LinkedIn profile is the most important. It's what people see when they land on your LinkedIn profile. So you want to look professional, you want to look trustworthy, you want to look like someone people want to connect with. So these are very important. So as I said, the 4 branding areas is that photo, your headline, your about section, and your experience. And we're going to go through these individually. So I just want to make sure you highlight, I do this sort of as a mental checklist as we go through. So that first top card area, as I said, the cover photo, I call it a bonus area, but it really is, it's not important to the algorithm, but it is important for people to see that first impression when they land on your profile. So as you saw with Hazel's, we created that, I worked with Hazel on her profile. We created that image to have her logo on there. I use Canva a lot of times to create I'm not a professional designer, so I just use Canva. If you want to hire a professional to do that imagery, that's great. If you are in charge of marketing for your team, ideally, I would encourage you to invite your team members to have the logo of your organization up in behind that first impression. But you could have photos of, if you are a speaker, if you just, whatever kind of brand treatment you want in that area, we can certainly talk about that a little bit more. As I said, your photo. So that warm, friendly, approachable, professional image is so crucial. And then your headline. And again, we're going to go through these even a little bit deeper because you have less than 9 seconds. Truthfully, I think we have about 3 seconds. I think our attention span is getting shorter and shorter. The last I checked, our human attention span, see, I even lost my train of thought there. Our human attention span is less than a goldfish, which is a little crazy, but we are doom scrolling and using all these social media tools. So our attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So as I said, this may be, very obvious, but that first impression really counts. Clean, close up, polished, professional, smiling, confident, all the things. You can do a selfie. That's totally fine. You can take a selfie from your camera. I wouldn't have a cluttered background. Like my background isn't cluttered, but it's busy. I would have a plain background if I could. Actually, even in my own photograph, you can see here on the left, I'm outdoors. That's not too bad. But I would certainly make sure that the focus is on you. You are the hero of the story. So have a great headshot as that first impression. Okay, your headline. I am oversimplifying this, and at the same time, simplifying is very, very hard to do. There is a 16th century philosopher by the name of Blaise Pascal who wrote, "If I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter." Narrowing down your headline is really difficult. You have 220 characters to tell that story. When I'm writing for my clients, what I typically will do is write their about section first. So really tell the story, the fulsome bio, and then come back and write the headline. Because it's really hard to sort of narrow down all of the great things that you are into 220 characters. So what you can do is think about your unique value proposition of who you are, what you do, and how you help. And you want to optimize this with the right kinds of keywords that people are looking for when they need to find you. The algorithm is going to optimize the keywords that your audience uses, not the way that you describe yourself. So if you're chief happiness officer, no one's looking for that. So remember to write for the reader. So one of the sort of key formulas that you could use is your role or your title, what you do, and how you help them. So it could be, like, say, Leslie Hughes, or not Leslie Hughes, that's my name, but in the headline, it could say LinkedIn profile writer, helping executives optimize their professional presence using channels like LinkedIn. That's not what I have on mine, but that's something that you could write on yours. You can play around with those, whether you want to use the keyword approach or you want to tell a fulsome, unique value proposition. Again, this goes with you as you go through LinkedIn and you make comments and you engage with other people and you are connecting with people, your headline is there, and especially the first 40 characters. So pay attention to those first 40 characters. Those first keywords are the ones that are the most visible beneath your name. So that's really important. Okay, so we're going to move on and we're going to talk about what could take you a longer time to create, which is your about section. They used to call it the summary section. You might think of it as your bio. You have 2,600 characters to tell this story. This is the hardest one because what I often say to my clients is, when you're inside the jar, you cannot see the label. When you're inside the jar, you cannot see the label. It is so much harder to see yourself through the 360 lens because you're inside the jar and you want to play small, and our brains are hardwired, our amygdala, so like from society through to our brains. Oh, I don't want to brag about myself. I don't want to talk about myself. Okay, let me do a couple of reframes for you. One of them is that LinkedIn is the channel you are supposed to include your accomplishments. So it is built, and if you, it's built for your accomplishments. So if you are not showcasing the amazing things that you do, you are doing a disservice not only to yourself, but you are doing a disservice to the people who need to know what you have to offer. This is really crucial because somebody out there is looking, whether it's internally in your organization or externally for other opportunities, somebody is looking for someone who has your exact experience. And if you're hiding behind, oh, I don't want to brag about myself, then you are not going to get those opportunities. It is tough. It is tough to talk about yourself. That's what I'm here to do, is to cheerlead you and tell you, yes, you can do this. I'm going to give you a couple of reframes before we go, because if that's not enough, I'm going to cheerlead you along the way. The algorithm loves to see your accomplishments. If you can quantify and tell on LinkedIn what you have done and put metrics in there, the algorithm will love it even more. Okay, so we're going to start with that introduction or hook. If any of you are social media people, you know that that first hook gets people really invited into the story before you have to click on the see more part of your profile. So that first hook ideally should kind of even be that unique value proposition of, I work with these people doing these things. A really strong, powerful hook can get the reader to read a little bit more. You also want to acknowledge whom it is that you serve. So I work with these people doing these things, helping them overcome these obstacles and solving these problems, right? You're writing for them to tell them that you're here to help. Here's another way to reframe if you're still uncomfortable about bragging about yourself. Write it from a place of service. When you tell people, I love to do X, Y, and Z, I really empowered, I really feel passionate, I decided to work in this career because those words of being passionate and like I'm passionate about, I'm driven to, I love doing this. Who doesn't want to work with that person? And if that's what you love to do, then include that on your profile. And here's another thing to think about putting in your profile. What is your superpower? What is it that people come to you that is so, you're like, everybody can do this? Why is anybody like, people just come to me naturally. I am really good at doing these things. That is your superpower. And you might think, well, everybody can do this. I promise you, they cannot. There is something that you know. There are a lot of things that you know that nobody else knows, because nobody else in the world has the same experience that you do. So think about your superpower and what you're uncommonly good at. That's what you want to highlight, because you don't want to sound like everybody else on LinkedIn. You don't want to just be using AI and throwing AI slop into there that makes you sound generic. I'm a team player. I'm a leader that loves to. Why? Tell us more. Tell us a fulsome story and don't sound like everybody else. So some of those key things that could be things that you want to include in there is, how many years have you been working in an industry? Sometimes that's a good metric to let people know that you're more seasoned than, you know, if you're starting out. Talk about the different programs that you've taken in school. Talk about your why. You know, why, if you've ever seen Simon Sinek Start With Why, he says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So really get involved in the why behind your story. What drives you? What makes you passionate? Tell that story and let people know what really is the essence of you. And then as a marketer, I usually say, unless you are a real senior leader, what's the call to action? So how do you want people to reach out to you? Do you want them to DM you? Do you want them to email you? If you're a senior leader, you may just say, please visit our website for more information about our organization. You are also a brand ambassador for your organization. And so you can weave your professional, like the organizational story in with your story as well to tell that comprehensive story. So the question is, do you go long or do you go short? I tell a long story. As you can tell, I'm a chatty girl. I typically use up those 2,600 characters to tell a story. And you'll notice in the imagery here, there's a lot of white space. So you want to make it easy for the reader to see it. You want to make sure that you have a character or paragraph return after a few paragraphs so that it's easy for people to skim. You cannot bold, you cannot italicize. And so I encourage you to write this in a Word document or a Google document that you can cut and paste into LinkedIn. And between us friends, I'm a huge lover of AI. I'm leaning all in with AI. The LinkedIn AI is meh. It takes all the soul out of your story. And I'm afraid sometimes like AI kind of does that. It makes you want to sound a little bit more generic than everybody else. So I really want, your story, your voice should really be captured in your about section. Okay, so moving on. Now into your experience section, as we move down through the LinkedIn profile, your experience section then becomes kind of like your resume. Your link to the company, if you do not have a logo in this section, that's okay, but that's where it's hyperlinked to the company page. So you have to type in the company name, then your company page will show up in this section. It's a little more complicated. I can't really get into now how to do this, but please email me at leslie@punchmedia.ca if you need to get a company page started, and I will help direct you in the right way to do that. So in your experience section, this is where I typically, for the most part, cut and paste resume style bullet points into the experience section. So you might say to me, okay, Leslie, but I've put my headline out there and then I've got my about section in it. Isn't it redundant that I'm putting the same information then again in the experience section? A little bit. People don't read, they're not scrutinizing through it as much as you think they are. You want to make sure that those keywords may even be duplicated so that the algorithm picks them up as well. So be thinking about that. One of the things that I typically do and suggest is look at the job listings out, on LinkedIn, on Indeed. Look at the job listings, look for the common key phrases, the keywords that are being used, especially if you are job prospecting, to help use those keywords to future pace you into the role that you want to be working in. So if that requires a little bit of help and you're like, how do I do that, Leslie? Then email me and I'll let you know exactly how you can navigate around that. So suffice it to say, your photo, your headline, your summary, if you do nothing else on your LinkedIn profile, literally nothing else on your LinkedIn profile, your photo, your headline, and then your about section, or this is summary. So I go back to talking about the summary. Those three key areas I've audited a lot of profiles in my day, including people that work at LinkedIn, and a lot of people have never completed those three steps. So if you do those three steps alone, you will be better than 80 to 90% of the 1.2 billion members on LinkedIn. So just saying, if we stop here, you've already earned your keep here. So focus on those. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Some of you who have all of those things set up may want to customize your URL. And LinkedIn, when they give you your URL, typically there is a very big, long letters and numbers after your surname. So under the Me area on your profile, there's a little gray area that says Edit Public Profile and URL. What you want to do is you click on that link, and then you want to edit your URL down to just your first name and your last name. A lot of people, if you have a common name like mine, it will have been taken already. So you may have to use your last name first, your first name last, put a middle initial in there, find some other way. But shortening that URL, then you can put that on your resume. You can put that on your email signature. It's a great way for you to, again, use that URL in a shortened way that goes with you throughout your career as well. So if you're still using business cards, if people still do that, you can put that URL on there as well. And just because in the matter of time, I could talk about LinkedIn for over 3 hours and still not have enough time. But, in the essence of time, just continue to add more over time. Don't get too overwhelmed and then put LinkedIn on the back burner because you're like, it's not perfect. It's not right. I don't have enough. I have too much. It's progress and not perfection. So be kind to yourself. This isn't easy because we are hardwired not to want to be criticized. And LinkedIn is probably the one you're going to feel most like, my career's at stake here. I don't want to mess up. But progress over perfection. You can change things over time on your profile. As long as your profile has, just be mindful of grammatical errors, Most of the time, anything can be changed, really. So just add a little bit more over time. Your education is crucial. If you have, if you have education, add that. It's a great way to connect with alumni from your university or your college. You can add skills. That's another key area that LinkedIn optimizes as well. There's a whole bunch of other sections that I want to tell you all about all of them, but we only have another 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to talk about connecting with a quality network. So this is a bit of a visual that LinkedIn uses 3 degrees of separation. You may have heard about 6 degrees of separation between you and anyone else in the world only requires to be introduced 6 times before you need to be introduced to, I don't know, the King of England or the Prime Minister, or whomever it is that you are looking to connect with. LinkedIn uses this model of 3 degrees of separation. So if you and I are connected, and I hope we do get connected, it would be first level connections. You and I are connected. You and I would be first level connections. We've essentially exchanged business connections, which means that anyone in my second level connection, anyone in my network is a second level connection. Let me say that again. Anyone in my network would be your second level connection. And what that means for having that first level of connections is, I'm going to say, like, I have about 5,000 connections now. And don't worry about the vanity metric of it, really, honestly. But I have 5,000 like actual connections that I have connected with. And so of anyone in that network, I used to work in publishing at Wedding Bells and Fashion Magazine. I used to work for Visa Canada. I used to work, there's a lot of clients that I've worked with, from Franklin Templeton to TVO to Aviva Investors. I've worked with a lot of different organizations. And so I've built up a network over time. And why that's important is because, let's just say your next dream job, your next dream opportunity, your next dream connection fits in my second level connections, or anybody that is a second level connection of yours. All you need to do is to, again, reach out to that first level connection and say, hey, can you introduce me to whomever it is on the next level? Or you see someone is working at that dream company and you're a first degree level connection. Building out that quality network. And 5,000, as I said, I've got 5,000 connections, which sounds like a lot. But to me, how many of those really matter? How many of those people really genuinely know me? And I vetted each one of those people. Like, I have actually made connections with each one of those people and had a conversation with them online in some way or form. So I don't just randomly connect with people, but again, some of those are loose connections and some of them are very solid connections. My point is, really, you want to, I guess I'll go on the next slide here, is you want to build connections with people that you know, and you want to build connections with people you want to get to know. And it's important in the algorithm for that as well, that you're not just randomly accepting connection requests from all over the world, all over the place, random. Like I always say, like, I'm not going to connect with a florist in Ireland if it's like, if I don't know them, if they're just a random person that's reaching out to connect. I just won't accept their connection request. And that's not just me being a jerk. It's me selecting the people that I want to see in my feed, and vice versa to a certain extent. So be selective, excuse me, be selective about whom you're connecting with, but be open to connecting with new people as well. Just be mindful. And as we'll talk about in a second, you want to create conversations with them. Even though we're exchanging sort of virtual business cards, there's a human being on the other end of the computer, and we want to be doing that. We want to be building and nurturing those connections. So it could be friends and family, past colleagues, current colleagues. Continue to like set a metric for yourself that you want to make 5 new connections a week, right? So 5 new connections a week, once a day. Those will compound over time, like a bank account that you invest in, and it continues to compound over time. So does your LinkedIn network as you continue to add people. So definitely, maybe people even want to put in the chat right now their LinkedIn URL. Put it into the chat right now, and people within this network of great, amazing women, you can start connecting with each other, because you just never know where an opportunity is going to come from. Okay. So I'm not going to go through this too much because we don't have a lot of time, but if you're looking for people on LinkedIn, there is a way to refine the searches. And this is actually literally as of last night in the process of changing. That right now, if you go through and you are looking to do prospecting or finding people, you can go through this all people's filter area. So at the top right now, it's turned into a semantic based search. Hard to explain a little bit, but basically it's more long tail searches. So you'll see at the very top on LinkedIn now, it says, I'm looking for someone who, and so whatever you're putting into those keyword searches is now going to be indexed by LinkedIn, and hopefully you will be able to find people. According to LinkedIn, we're going to be finding people better. I haven't been sold on this yet. So this is the transition. This is like the old version, but we're transitioning into the new version, where if you put in someone's first name or their last name or their title or their connections of, or things like that, you can narrow your search quite a bit to make connections with people at your dream location, your dream job, your dream whatever, and be proactive about this. Continue to build your network before you need them. People will come to me and they'll say, oh, I've just been let go from my job, or, oh, I'm thinking about moving on. Continue to build now for the future you, because when probably 85% of the time, those future opportunities that are out there are typically people that you know, or someone who can refer you to those opportunities. There's a hidden job market out there within your organization and outside of your organization, just through word of mouth. And so you want to continue to proactively be building out that network long before you need it. So here's how you can leverage a mutual connection. So let's just say John Smith. You can see here that John is a second degree, so probably a fake account created by somebody, a second degree connection. But interestingly enough, I have 60, 67, 68, 69 people that are mutually connected to this random dummy account. I'm a little curious about why 70 people, 67 or 60, 69 people have connected with John Smith with no image, and I'm very curious about how and why they connected with them. Regardless, these connections, I could leverage Stephen or Andrew to say, hey, I would really love it if you could introduce me to John Smith. I can ask them, or I can go directly to John Smith and say, I happen to know Stephen Gigliotti, would love to connect with you here. So this way you're turning a cold call into a warm introduction by adding that note to your invitation. So let me just it's a little bit of a side note here. It has to do with the premium account. Okay, so if you have the basic unpaid account, you only get 3 of these notes for your invitation. You only get 3 a month. Breaks my heart. This is like the most important part of LinkedIn, is building human to human connections. So of course, LinkedIn wants us to, pay for the premium. So I'm going to give you a little tip in just a second. So going to the premium on LinkedIn, you will have I don't even actually know the number because I never maximize it out, but you can add a note to your LinkedIn connection request. And I really encourage you do this, because this is where the human to human connection comes in. I will send connection requests. I'm going to be speaking at a conference next week. So I will send connection requests to people before I attend an event. The speakers at the event, I will send them a note ahead of time saying, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at Project World next week. Those kinds of things. Then I'm walking into a room of people that I potentially already know. And at the event, I will connect with people. After the event, I will say, it was really great meeting you at Project World. Looking forward to staying connected. Sending those notes not only is like a micro moment that no one else is doing of making these connections, but sending this note actually also puts a little, it's like a customer relationship database where you then can go back into your history, look at the messages and say, oh, that's how I met that person. Like with 5,000 connections that I have, it's not going to be easy for me to remember how I met everyone, which is why I usually send a note. It's a trigger for me to say, oh, that's how I met that person. So I strongly encourage that you do upgrade. I'm not making any money for you upgrading to LinkedIn Premium. I'm going to give you a little secret here. If you're going to pay for LinkedIn Premium, only pay for it if you're going to use it, right? So don't pay for it and then just do nothing with it. That's not going to help anything with the algorithm. The second thing is, you don't have to upgrade to business or to Sales Navigator unless you're going to use it. So my sneaky little hack is, not only can you get LinkedIn for a month for free, which I highly recommend you do, students can get it for a year for free. So ask your student employment center about getting LinkedIn for free for an entire year. And then third is the career level is far less expensive than the business or the sales navigator. So I want you to walk before you run. The career level, even if you're not looking for a new job, the career level will allow you to have more of those notes, more of those personalized connection requests than nothing. And I, again, don't bombard a whole bunch of people, but just set a good cadence for yourself, a good sustainable cadence about sending new connections and reaching out with people and connecting with them. So as I said, personalizing them, it's so important. You only have 3 personalized connection requests per month for the free account. And it is a digital handshake, right? So treat people like they're humans. And you can, as an icebreaker, include that you have a mutual connection, like I did with my example with Stephen and John Smith. You can just throw in a little bit of that, or I met you at a conference, or I see that you're speaking at the Women in Tech event, looking forward to staying in touch with you. Anything like that is a nice little warm handshake as you're connecting with people on LinkedIn. So as we kind of round out this sort of second piece, you want to focus on building a quality network of people that you know, people that you want to get to know. Use human icebreakers, be human. Literally in this age where AI is going to create more information. I love AI, but we're going to get inundated with even more information than we are already. The human element of connecting human to human is going to become more important than ever. Your profile, your humanness, you being you, your authenticity is going to matter more than anything else will. So lean into that a lot. A lot of people are not doing this yet. So this is a really good time for you to lean into your authenticity and be human. And be sure to follow up with people and don't just sort of like go post and ghost, right? Okay. So again, I'm going to breathe, go through a lot of information. This is the last little section, and we have about 10 minutes, and hopefully I'll open up the floor even faster to answer those questions, because I know I love to ask questions during webinars, and I love to answer them. So we'll get to that piece. So the third piece, you've created a strong, great first impression. You've connected with these amazing people that you're like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm reading a lot of great posts from all these people in my network. The last is all the engagement piece, the thought leadership. And you are a thought leader, even if you think you're not. You're a subject matter expert. And what this means is when you are posting on LinkedIn, you're building trust, you're building credibility, you're creating visibility for your personal brand. And you might say, I don't have anything to say. Yes, you do. You have a lot of knowledge and experience that no one else in the world has. So think about leaning into that. And in fact, of the 1.2 billion members on LinkedIn, less than 1% publish content. Less than 1% publish content regularly. That's the important part. You want to build out a cadence that if you publish once a week, give yourself a pat in the back. That's a good week. If you can only publish once every other week, you're still doing more than the 99% out there. So think about building out a content calendar for yourself of what you would like to publish and what kinds of things you would like to share. So this, as a brand, drives trust, credibility, visibility. It strengthens engagement. People who are posting on your post become like your cyber friends in a way. We are developing these parasocial relationships with people we've never even met in real life before. But it does build and strengthen engagement with people. The algorithm loves, more than anything, the algorithm loves engagement. And this is where LinkedIn is really, really focusing on, are you engaging? Are you posting? Are you being authentic? The more you do that with authenticity and are not just sort of scheduling things, like you can schedule your post, but the more you engage in two-way conversations, the more the LinkedIn algorithm realizes, oh, these people really love engaging with each other. They really like each other's posts. We're going to show up. We're going to show those posts more to people who like that. This is how you get to be more visible. And it differentiates you as a brand. That visibility piece, you want opportunities in your career, you have to be visible. You can't just be sitting at your desk waiting for someone to pick you. You have to pick you. And so I love cheerleading people about this. So some of the different kind of pillars you can think of, you want to educate your network. For whatever you do, you can share, give tips, give advice, say something that you've learned today, an obstacle that you've overcome. You can showcase your values, the community involvement. I am a blood donor recipient, so I'm going through this health journey right now. I'm in remission, yay! But I have been a blood recipient for many years. So those of you who have donated blood over the years, thank you so much for your generosity. I love to see people when they're out there, showcasing on LinkedIn that they have donated blood, because as a recipient, you saved my life, literally. So showcase your values in your environment, whether you love animals, whether you're volunteering. People love to see people who give back to the community. So include some of those things. You can include anonymized client stories, a challenge that you have overcome, or you've helped a client or a connection overcome. People love these posts. Those are the ones that you will see much more visibility about. So if you're attending conferences, this event, even post that you attended this Women in Tech webinar, and just be like, I learned so many great things today. What did you learn from today's session? Those kinds of posts will really benefit your visibility on LinkedIn. Engage, again, that the communications, when you see posts, engage with them, comment on people, not just like great post, but something that's mindful, something that's thoughtful, something that really helps to further continue that conversation. Those really will help your visibility on LinkedIn. So as we kind of get to some of the, hopefully, yes, I guess we're getting to the last few slides, and I'm going through this very quickly. Again, you will have this presentation to go through. For creating a post on LinkedIn, you may, just like any other social channels out there, you want to have an opening hook that captures people's attention within 3 seconds. You want to give an insight, something interesting, something new, something that gets them to stop the scroll. Your point of view, your expertise. Maybe include a very short story or a humanized example of, I helped this, not name, but I helped this client, I helped this person, I did this project, we worked together to do blank. And this just shows, give people things that they can learn from, or examples. And I'll tell you right now, for those of you that are still afraid of posting, the people who love you will rally the successes that you have. People want to celebrate successes with you. I promise you. Once you start posting, you start seeing people that are like, yes, you've got this, amazing, congratulations. It's going to feel really good. And I really rarely get the trolls out there. And for the trolls out there are the people that are sitting back on their heels and going like, I wouldn't do that. Oh my God, I would never do that. Well, haters gonna hate. And so you can just be like, meh. There's a great quote from, I heard it from Brene Brown, who got it from Theodore Roosevelt. And it's, I don't remember the quote word for word, but it's about the man in the arena. So I suggest you look that up. The man in the arena is like, if somebody's not in the good fight, if they're not in the arena with blood, sweat, and tears fighting a good fight, they can be quiet. They can just stop chirping. People can criticize all they want, but nobody knows what you know from your perspective. So as long as you are an expert in what you do, listen, people who are in the arena, you will respect their opinion. You will respect the fact that they're coming to you and giving you maybe constructive criticism. But the people that sit back and be like, I wouldn't do it that way. Yeah, just sit there and just, be quiet. And so with your story, with your call to action, with your hook, your story, your insight, you may want to have a call to action, which typically for me is inviting a discussion. If we're connected on LinkedIn, you'll also often see me ask you to jump in the conversation. What's your input? What's your insight on this? And then the last area also, which is quite important, is to add image or video or something that is visual that people can look at, because we are, as humans, we process visual information 60,000 times faster than we do text alone. And so one of the things you could do for this example, this Women in Tech Canada, as you know, there's like over 5,000 people that follow that page. What you can simply do is you can click on comment, obviously, to get a little visibility there. But this repost button, so if there is an upcoming Women in Technology event that you think your network needs to know and join, you click on the repost, add some of your own context and your own comments about why should the reader care? Why should they join? What's really going to be interesting? What are you excited to see at this upcoming webinar? So those kinds of things can really help you gain visibility. Organic posts your organic post or your first person point of view is going to rank higher in the algorithm than these reposts. But still, this is a good week. If you're posting and you're sharing content, it's a good week. I'm sure the Women in Tech Canada will appreciate the love and the reshares as well. So as you continue to engage on LinkedIn, be mindful, respond to your own post. So when you're posting, respond to people. Don't just post it and then leave it. You want to engage and say, thank you so much for your opinion. I really appreciate it. So glad we connected here. Celebrate other people's achievements. Share, again, when you see people celebrating in the community, when people are, doing, getting involved in community, this is great. I love to see you doing these kinds of things. These kind of things really help to build bonds with other people and build relationships. So as we sort of wrap up here, I've done such a good job because we're almost on time, is how often do you post, right? So frequency, ideally, do your best to post once or twice a week, usually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. My sweet spot is like 8:45 if I'm scheduling, or between 5 and 7. I have studied this extensively. You're going to get anybody saying, people say post at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, post it. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, just set a time, do your best to be consistent, to show up every week or every other week or every month. You want to stay top of mind. There's there's a professor at Wharton School of Business named Jonah Berger who says that top of mind is tip of tongue. So ideally, you want to stay top of mind with your network, engaging, and of course, steer clear from like posting about things that are a little too offside, politics, things like that. You probably want to stay away from, especially your organization. You always have to follow the rules and regulations of your social media policy. You are a brand ambassador for your organization, so make sure that you're aligned with that as well. Okay, so I want you to commit to one action this week. And so just either put it in the chat, say it to yourselves, whatever it is, you're going to share at least one post on LinkedIn. You're going to engage with other people as well. You're going to comment or like on someone else's post. You're going to add to your LinkedIn profile this week. Whatever it is, I want you to be sure and make a commitment to yourself to take action. And this is the last slide I'm going to say before we move on is, again, the rallying cry of being authentic to yourself. I don't know if any of you know this concept of wabi sabi. It's a Japanese art form that is in the it's the art of imperfection. So this bowl here has been broken, but it's been glued back together with gold. And the idea of this beauty concept in this Japanese art form is that your imperfections is what make you beautiful. We want so hard to be perfect. We want everything to be, exactly right. It's the imperfections that make you beautiful. It's the essence of who you are. So my example is I talk too fast. I've got too much information. I'm a little too animated. One of the feedback forms that I got said, you seemed a little manic. Okay, so, but if I showed up and wasn't authentic with you, A, it would be a very boring presentation, and B, it wouldn't be me. So own the value of what you bring. That imperfection is your unique value. It's the unique you. So lean into it. And I'm here to cheerlead you all along the way to showcase those imperfections, to showcase your who you are, what you do, how you show up. And again, I just want you to feel confident at the end of this presentation that you've got this, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm going to put it in the chat as well. So I'm going to hand this back over.
Yes, thank you, Leslie, for the presentation. Good job with the time.
On time, almost on time. Almost on time. We still have time.
Yeah, so like I said in the beginning and in the chat, if you have any question, it will be the good time to put your questions in the Q&A section. And I'll start with one, Leslie. So in your presentation, you spoke a lot about algorithms, so what it likes, what it doesn't like. How are we able to know what it likes? I feel like it changed so much for like Instagram, TikTok, everything. So for LinkedIn, how are we able to know what works and what doesn't work?
Well, LinkedIn doesn't publish these things. So that is why I do what I do, because I hope to fill in the gap for that. There's a lot of LinkedIn people on that publish their own content. Like LinkedIn doesn't publish, oh, we'll do this and you will optimize in the algorithm. LinkedIn does post in their engineering blog certain things like what's coming up, but they will never give you the black box of what kind of goes on in behind the scenes of what goes on with LinkedIn. So I would say the top things would be focus on those keywords. How do you want to be found? You don't hashtags from what I'm reading are not a big thing. So don't worry about the hashtags, but think about the keywords. Engagement is so important. So those are really the key things that is connecting with people that fit within your wheelhouse, and then publishing on content that you are subject matter expert about helps the algorithm understand, okay, these people in this industry like this kind of content. We're going to serve that content up more to those people, because what LinkedIn does is it sort of sends out that first message to a small group of people. And if it gets engagement, then it goes, okay, more people need to see this and more people need to see this. That's why sometimes you're seeing a post from like a week ago, 2 weeks ago through your feed, and you're
Right.
like, why is this showing up now? It's
Mhm.
because of the volume of like that post. Okay, so we're sort of seeing the trickle down effect of the algorithm sort of picking it up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, and we have a questions from Kim, which is there an ideal length for the about questions section?
Well, as I said, I'm a chatty girl, so I maximize the 2,600 characters. I think telling a good story is better than telling no story. So there's no real like, oh, it must stay within X number of characters. It has to stay within 2,600 characters. But I think if you tell a fulsome story that is easy to read, people are just going to skim through it anyway. There's no maximum, there's no minimum insofar as like what's the perfect number. It's just, is this a good story? Do people really care? Do people want to read it? I have a tough time with the clients that I write for because their accomplishments are like, how do I make sure that somebody who's had 20 years of experience is like how do you condense that? Sometimes it can be challenging. And if you're a student, you're like, how do I make it bigger? Like I don't have that much experience. So that's where you go into, did you have co-op? Did you have classes that you attended that really those kinds of stories. So there's no minimum. If you can say it in 2 sentences, say it in 2 sentences. But I'm a storyteller. I go long.
Okay, thank you. Another question. I feel like we have a lot of women even here today that they have a 9 to 5, but also they have a side hustle or they do a bunch of things at the same time. So what would you suggest that we put in our profile, as a headline, even the picture that we have? Is it more about the business we have or like our 9 to 5 or everything at the same time? How are we able to do this? What's your tips?
Thank you for bringing that up because it is something that I forgot to mention. So, yes, things that you love to do in your non working hours, absolutely include those. So, if you do have a side hustle, as long as you don't think you're going to get in trouble at work, put that in there, right? In my day, during the daytime hours, I do this, this, and this. In my non working hours, I do this, this, and this. Or so many of us are so multifaceted right now. We want to be human. And so yeah, a lot of times in someone's profile I can either write my daytime hours, I'm doing this, and I'm also really excited about launching this new business, or I do this on the side. It's who you are. Include your a fun fact about you, right? There's, if you want to be a little sassy, you could put that in there as well. Like in my non-working hours, I love to, I don't know if you'd want to put like I love to watch reality television because I really secretly love to do that. But maybe like I love to cheer on this sports team, or I love to garden, or I love to travel. My favorite spot in the world. One of the profiles that I wrote, I said it was for a New York City investment advisor, and he said, and I put in his profile like, when I'm not working, I'm on the hunt for New York City's best burger. It's just one of those icebreakers that someone could then say like, so what is New York City's best burger joint? Where do I go? Those kind of icebreakers. Again, it depends on the voice that you want to include. Most of us, especially Canadians, don't want to lean in to be a little sassy. But I did have one client who I wrote in her profile. I said, in the immortal words of Vanilla Ice, if there was a problem, yo, I'd solve it. There's very few that I get to be that sassy with because usually we're pretty professional. But if you want to be a little playful with, who you are, then throw that in there too. Sure.
Thank you for the answer. Another question. What do you think about AI profile pictures? Because I feel like we see them more and more, like a real
You see
picture.
my face? Like,
I feel like I know the answer already, but what do you think about that?
yeah, listen. I love a little Photoshop. I'm not gonna lie. I do like to look cuter in my picture than I do in real life. As I'm starting to age, I'm like, oh, please just take out a few of the wrinkles and a little bit of the bags. I guess what I don't. Okay, so where do I sit with the AI profile headshots? I think some of them are getting very, very good. Um, I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it because as long as it authentically looks like you and it looks like a human version of you, I think what boils down to is when the reader sees something, our brains are processing that inconsistency. The cognitive dissonance of like, is that a real person or is that a bot? They might be a little hesitant to think like, was that an AI generated image? Is that person really human? Is that person really there? I think that if it looks a little too AI generated, I've seen people use avatars instead of their own portraits and things like that. I'd be wary of that. People want to connect human to human, right? So as long as the AI shot is really good, where, I've seen some of them that are really good, but it has to look like you. Because if you show up to an event or a meeting and you kind of look like, Shrek, and you don't look like that, really, you know what I mean? Then people are gonna be like, I don't know. It just breeds inauthenticity, and our brains recognize it. So
right? And how many, like you said, people need to recognize you if they see you in real life. So how often should we change our profile picture?
well, I made another face because mine hasn't, I just recently changed mine, and I hadn't changed mine in 10 years. So as long as it looks like you, I think that that's the most important piece. I would say like every few years, I've invested in like a professional photographer to do that. And so there are different events that you can have that done. But again, you get to, I hate a selfie. I'm a different generation. Selfies were not my thing. So I hate having my picture taken. I can go on camera all day, but I hate having my picture taken. So I would say change to every, if you change your look, change it, right? But there's no, like I said, I had mine from 2016. I just changed it like last year. So as long as people aren't like, huh, when they see me, that
As long as it
you
looks
don't
like
look like you at all.
perfect. A question that we have, another question, listing years of experience can be a double-edged sword. Thoughts on those of us over 50?
Well, I'm one of those people. So over 50 girls in the house. It does. So it's tough to answer that because I'm not a headhunter or a recruiter. Some people will simply not, people can figure out it anyway, right? So people will figure, I was going to say, like, you don't have to list, when you went to university. People can do the math, but then people will be able to figure out the math from your experience section anyway, either. It's a tough answer that I don't have it's a tough question I don't have the answer to, because I'm not in recruiting, to really answer how that works from a hiring manager's perspective. But I'll cheerlead you, because women over 50, we know things. We know things. We've got experience. So yeah, that's all I can say. I'm with you. I'm with you on that, over the over 50 crowd.
And I feel like it's the same thing also for more like juniors. You're wondering, should I put the year of my bachelor degree, undergrad, or master? Or it would look as if I'm too young and I have no experience. So take on both
Yeah,
sides.
people judge on both sides. Absolutely.
A question we have, do you think LinkedIn has become too performative?
I think it depends on what you mean by performative. I think some people are like, is it becoming too much like Facebook? Is it too navel gazing? Maybe that's the question, Elizabeth, you're asking. It does feel like sometimes you're like, oh, like you roll your eyes at some of those people when you're like, just stop. Like it's always about you all the time. Is it a little bit of that? Yes, but you'll notice that the people that are posting about themselves are probably getting more opportunities as well. It's really a fine balance, because I think what it boils down to is there are people that I do the old eye roll, because they're all like, "Look at me, I'm so great, I'm so amazing," and you kind of know there's like a dissonance with that. When you meet them in person, you find that they're like more of like the handshake and the backslapping and the like, "Hey, how can we work together?" And they're just like, whatever. So is it? Yes. I think with the people that that are authentic, those are the people that you really want them to show up. So I have this like yes and no. I have posted things that I think, oh, like my health journey. I was like, do I post about that? Because I don't want to seem like I'm, oh, like everybody feels sorry for me that I've just been through this health journey. And then when I did make the post about it, a lot of people sort of said, like, that was so powerful. Thank you for being so brave about something that I was so nervous about looking like. I didn't want to come off as a victim. So I think that there's a fine line between like, here's what I learned about the business world because I walked my dog today.
Mhm.
There's that where people are just like trying to find ways to like promote how amazing they are. And then there's people who are authentically out there sharing great things that help people. I think there's a fine line between those. And I think the only way that you know that if it's authentic is if you kind of know that person, if they're really coming from that place of service, or if if that person is very transactional. So Elizabeth, I hope that sort of answers that question, because I know it's a yes and it's sort of like yeah, it has. People don't want to see what people have had for breakfast, but they authentically want to know. They want to learn. That's why we're on LinkedIn, is to make more professional connections and learn from each other.
Mhm. Thank you, Leslie. We have 1 minute left. Do you have one last advice? I know you gave us a lot today, but like Leslie said, we'll send the slides to everyone who joined today. But do you have one last advice for our women in tech community?
Okay, I will give you two pieces of advice. One is, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, progress and not perfection. So focus on doing something and showing up in whatever way it is that you want to show up. Just be kind to yourself. It is not easy. It is not easy to put yourself out there for fear of rejection. It's a biological thing, it's a sociological thing. I work with executives at very senior organizations writing their LinkedIn profiles. I work with big teams and go into their offices and train them how to use LinkedIn. And every single person in that room, when I say put your accomplishments out there, they all go, ah, oh. Like senior people at organizations that are worth billions of dollars will say to me, I don't like talking about myself. I'm a part of a team. We are all built to be humble. So if you're feeling that resistance, you are not alone. It's okay. And that's why I'm here to help too. So lean into it, feel the feels, publish it anyway. You will get used to it. When you feel that resistance, it's time for you to lean into it. There's a book by a guy named Stephen Pressfield who talks about resistance. It's the War of Art. It's a great short book. Lean into the resistance. That's where your soul is calling, is to do that. So definitely do that. Is just progress over perfection. And the last thing, again, I'm going to cheerlead and say there is no one in the world that knows what you know from your perspective. You are like Dr. Seuss. You are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you. So it sounds a lot of hokey. It sounds a lot of like, okay, jazz hands. But please lean into it. The world needs to know what you know from your perspective. So that's my cheerleading is like, just as Nike would say, just do it. Just get out there and do it.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for your time. I learned so much, and I think everyone learned so much today. We got some few comments. So for everyone, like I said in the beginning, you can join our Women in Tech community. We have a platform which is called Women in Tech Hub. So make sure to just create your account there. And also we have our NA Awards coming up in September 9. And we have a bunch of other webinars coming up too, just like the one we had today, another one this month too. So I just sent all of you guys a link to our Women in Tech Hub, so you can just sign up for those webinars coming up. So thank you again, Leslie, and thank you for everyone joining. And we'll post the webinar of today on YouTube and send you the link tomorrow. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
À bientôt.
À bientôt.